Welcome back. Now you are going to need to undertake some audio editing so that you have the sound that you want. And so to do that, one of the first things you want to do, assuming that you have recorded your own bumper or intro or outro, what you're going to do is to make sure first is that the audio matches up. And so you'll see here that the waveform for the music is higher than the waveform for the speaking. And so what we're going to do here is to reduce the volume of the music and raise the volume of the actual audio. So we're first going to work on the music track, and we're going to turn the volume down. Now in most cases, you're going to find this to work differently in any of your editing software, including Audacity. We're going to now raise the volume on the voiceover. But once we have the volume where we want and we have the intro or outro sounding the way we want, one thing that we can do is we can turn this into a project and then produce the audio so that it is handy for us to reuse every time we produce our podcast. Once we have our intro, what we're going to do is we're going to produce it as one file, and we're just going to use the same process to produce the audio as we did before. And we'll then click Finish. And we'll then have our podcast intro inside of our folder. And this is then going to be something we'll be able to reuse every time we produce our podcast. So since we've saved the project file, we're now going to open a new project file. And we're going to save our file. We're now going to import our podcast audio. Once we have our podcast audio, we're then going to bring it to the timeline. And we then have it available. Now what we want to do now is we want to make sure to add in our intro. So we're now going to import our podcast intro. So we're now going to import our podcast intro. We'll then have our podcast intro in our software. We'll then want to add it to the timeline, and we'll want to set it up so that it starts playing and it ends as our podcast broadcast begins. Now, once you've edited out any mistakes, what you're going to do now is you're then going to undertake two processes. What you're going to do first is you're going to undertake any steps you can to eliminate background noise. Now, in your Camtasia software, this works a specific way. If you're using Audacity, it's going to work for Audacity. If you're using something like Screencast-O-Matic, there are specific steps for noise reduction. Whatever the steps are for your software, you do want to use it and you do want to undertake noise reduction. We're going to walk through the process of noise reduction in the next video. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in the next video.